Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into something big, the Montessori approach to raising kids who are truly independent. And we're not just going to talk philosophy, we're going to give you practical tools you can start using, like, right now.
All right, let's start with a question that I think every single parent has faced. Your kid is struggling with something. What's your gut reaction? Do you jump in and fix it, or do you wait? How you answer that is, honestly, the key to unlocking their confidence.
And that question leads us right into our first big idea. It's all about shifting your mindset to that of a Montessori guide. What does that mean? It just means knowing when to step back and when to step in. Okay, so there's this huge misconception about Montessori, right? That it's just this free-for-all where kids run wild. No way. That's not it at all. Dr. Montessori was super clear about this. You only step in when one of these 3 simple rules is broken. That's your entire foundation. Simple, right?
So the real trick is knowing the difference. On one hand, you have those clear-cut moments where you have to intervene. But on the other hand, oh man, you have these golden opportunities for them to learn. Like letting them figure out for themselves that, yep, spilling water makes the floor wet. Or watching that aha moment when they finally figure out how to stack that tricky block. Those are the moments to just watch.
Okay, picture this. Your kid is cutting out a paper house and you see it coming. They're about to snip off a really important tab. Your first instinct is probably to lunge for the scissors, right? I know mine is. But what if you didn't? What if you just offered a tiny, tiny verbal cue? Something like, oh, I see that flap looks like it's close to the scissors. And then you just wait, see what they do. That is the Montessori way in a nutshell.
All right, next up, let's talk about the words we use, because this is a real game changer. The way we talk to our kids can literally build them up to be dependent on our praise, or it can give them a rock-solid internal sense of self-confidence.
I mean, we all say it, right? Good job! It's like a reflex. But if you've ever really stopped to think about what that phrase is teaching, it's basically telling them, do this thing to make me happy. It's all about that external reward, our praise. What we're really aiming for is that internal drive, so they learn to feel good about their own accomplishments for themselves. So, the Montessori way is to ditch that generic praise and get specific. It's such a simple switch, but it's so powerful. You stop being the judge who says good or bad, and instead you become a mirror. You're just reflecting back what they did, helping them see their own success with their own eyes. So look at this example here. This is not praise, right? It's just a straight-up observation. But think about what it communicates. It says, I see you. I see the effort you put in. I see what you were trying to do. It's way more valuable than good job, because it gives them actual information about what they accomplished. And you know, as they get a little older, you can take it a step further. Instead of just describing what you see, you can invite them to tell you about it. A simple question like this, it's amazing. It totally hands the power back to them. And that's the whole point, isn't it? Okay, so we have the mindset down, we have the language. So what about the how? Let's get into the nitty-gritty, the practical process of actually building these skills one little step at a time. Look, this isn't about just throwing your kid in the deep end and saying, figure it out. That's just going to overwhelm them. Instead, it's this really clear 6-step process. I love the analogy of a ladder. You're building it for them, rung by rung, so they can climb it themselves. You're just there to hold it steady. Oh man, every parent has heard this one. I can't do it, or you do it for me. And it's so tempting to just give in and do it, right? But what if, instead, we took a breath and tried to figure out what's really going on? Because a lot of the time, it's not even about the task. Maybe they just need a moment of connection with you. Maybe they're feeling rushed. You got to be a detective. Learning to ride a bike is the perfect example of this. You wouldn't just give a 5-year-old a bike and say, good luck crossing that busy street. Of course not. You start in the park, running alongside them. Then maybe you move to a quiet bike lane. Then you're biking with them for years. It's this super slow, gradual process of letting go as their skills get better and better. And this same idea, this scaffolding, applies to all the big milestones. Take staying home alone. That's a huge one. But it's not just one decision you make on a Tuesday. It's the final step after you've built up dozens of smaller skills first. Do they know who to call in an emergency? Can they get themselves a snack safely? It's all connected. Okay, so we've got the mindset, the words, the step-by-step process. So what happens when all these pieces come together? How does this actually look out in the real world? Let's take a look at travel. Seriously, traveling with kids is the perfect little laboratory to put all these ideas into practice. It doesn't matter if your kid is 3 or 13, it works. The scaffolding is so clear here. You know, a 3-year-old, they can absolutely be in charge of their own little backpack with their snacks and a toy. A 10-year-old, they can pick out their clothes and pack their own suitcase. When you involve them in everything, from looking at the map to learning to say hello in another language, the whole trip just turns into this incredible lesson in responsibility.
And this is a really important point. This isn't just about packing a bag. Fostering independence also means we're raising kids who are thoughtful, conscientious global citizens. We can teach them how to be respectful travelers, to really appreciate a new culture, not just consume it.
So, let's bring it all home. As we wrap this up, it really all circles back to where we started, those 3 core rules. When do you step in? Only when there's a risk of harm, to themselves, to other people, or to the environment. That's your North Star. It guides everything. And just to be super clear, the goal isn't to never help. It's about helping as little as possible, but as much as is necessary. You're not supposed to be the bulldozer, clearing every obstacle out of their way. You're the guide, walking alongside them on their own path.
So I want to leave you with this question. Building this kind of independence, it doesn't happen overnight. It starts with one small, intentional change. So what's one little thing you can do today? Maybe it's just waiting 5 extra seconds before you jump in to help. What's your first step going to be?